Dharmesh, news of, well, a departure at Arsenal. Who is that?
Yeah, Arsenal announced earlier today that the defender Takehiro Tomiyasu has left the club after the club and the player and his representatives agreed on a mutual termination of his contract. He's currently recovering from a long-term knee injury, is Tomiyasu, and he's not expected to be fit until later on this year. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Arsenal have got the option to extend that for a further year. But I think all parties came together and probably thought, because of the injury as well, and because of how much football he's missed, this was probably the best course of event for his career as well. So he can basically start again and with a new chapter. He's only 26 years of age, is Tomiyasu. I think the reason they think the parting was right now, he only played 6 minutes of football last season. And in the previous 3 seasons that he was at Arsenal, he made 36 Premier League starts in total. So injuries have really ravaged his time at Arsenal. I think it was almost a reluctant decision that they had to make, but they feel it's the right one now, I think, for him and the club.
We're just teasing Arsenal fans. Let's talk about incomings.
Right, I'll run through this quite quickly if I can. Announcements, we know that Kepa Arrizabalaga has joined. That was announced earlier on this week. Announcement on Martin Zubimendi's move from Real Sociedad and Christian Norgaard's transfer from Brentford. They're both expected soon, we're told. Everything is in place with both of those deals. Arsenal have met the release clause of £51 million for Zubimendi. They've agreed a deal worth around £15 million, we think, for Norgaard. And we think personal terms for both of them are effectively agreed in principle. They're after a central defender as well, Christian Mosquera from Valencia. He's only got a year left on his contract, hence why Arsenal feel there's an opportunity to get a good deal done there. At the moment, there's a gap in valuation, but I think Arsenal are optimistic and hopeful that maybe they can meet somewhere in the middle between what they want to pay and what Valencia want, and hopefully get Mosquera in maybe even before their pre-season tour. And they're still exploring deals for the attacking side of the pitch as well.
Well, this is the thing. If I was an Arsenal fan sitting at home, I'd be like, well, but what about a striker?
I know. And this is the question that gets asked every single transfer window. I'll come to the striker in just a moment. Gyökeres is a player that they're definitely interested in. They know what the deal will require. It's a £60 million release clause plus £8 million in performance-related add-ons. They're also interested in Real Madrid's Rodrigo, which would be an incredible deal if they could do it. And we mentioned one of those players on the list that Chelsea have got. Raheem Sterling, of course, was on loan at Arsenal last season. He's gone back to Chelsea, but Noni Madueke is someone that Arsenal are seriously looking at as well. And then we come to the strikers. Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres are the 2 names that will not go away. 2 different ages, similar kind of prices. It's just going to depend on which direction Arsenal want to go. So there's still decisions internally to be made before they make that decision. And because you keep asking the question, when are they going to sign this striker? I think Arsenal are aware of this. And I think they're also aware that they've got to get it right. Hence why they will take their time. There's still 2 months of this transfer window to go. Get it right and make sure they get the right player in.
OK, Dams, let's head to the Championship, Reggie.
By mentioning Arsenal, I told you about the contacts continuing for Gyökeres. I told you also about Arsenal speaking to Noni Madueke's camp. So Arsenal are working on several topics. Don't forget Victor Gyökeres. Don't forget Victor Gyökeres, because Arsenal are waiting to see what happens in this war between the agents of the player and the Sporting for Victor Gyökeres for the final price of the player. But Gyökeres is absolutely still expected to leave. And Arsenal are still working in the background, are still working in terms of contacts, are still keeping close eye to the situation with Sporting. And so Arsenal didn't forget about Victor Gyökeres. The contacts are continuing for the Swedish striker, and so don't forget about the story. Don't forget about the deal. And also, let's also follow in the next days the topic of the new contract for Ethan Nwaneri, because Arsenal are in active talks with the agents of Ethan Nwaneri. The player is really still keen on staying at Arsenal. So after Lewis Kelly, Arsenal always wanted to extend the contract of Ethan Nwaneri. There is some discussion to do on game time, because obviously Gyökeres and Noni Madueke, Arsenal are working on several profiles, and so obviously on player camp they want to understand what's Arsenal plan for the boy for the upcoming seasons before putting pen to paper. So the conversation remains active and positive with Ethan Nwaneri keen on staying at Arsenal, but also seeking for some guarantees in terms of game time, in terms of plan before putting pen to paper. So let's wait for this process to happen, but Nwaneri is going to be one of the stories to follow in terms of new deal negotiations for Arsenal in the next days, because at the moment there is still some point to clarify with the players' camp and the players' family. And then, guys, for Arsenal, it's over for the Japanese defender Takehiro Tomiyasu, terminating the contract at the club after the injury. He will be back at the end of 2025, so at the end of the year.
Arsenal, after there was a mutual termination of his contract, he's currently recovering from a long-term knee injury.
Aston Villa have confirmed that Philippe Coutinho has completed a permanent move to Brazilian club Vasco da Gama.
Joe Rothwell has revealed he could have joined Rangers back in 2022 before he opted for Bournemouth, but he's delighted to have joined them now.
Brentford have signed Anthony Miliambo from Eredivisie side Feyenoord. The 20-year-old midfielder has penned a 5-year deal with a club option of a further year.
Karim Mitoma sees his long-term future at Brighton. He has entered the final 2 years of his current deal.
In the last few moments, it's been confirmed that Kyle Walker has agreed to join Burnley, and he played alongside Scott Parker at Spurs.
Chelsea are on the verge of signing forward Jamie Gittins after Borussia Dortmund confirmed an agreement is in place.
Crystal Palace among the Premier League clubs interested in Napoli's Jens Kachuste. The Sweden international impressed on loan at Ipswich last season, despite their relegation back to the Championship. Michael
Keane has signed a new 1-year deal at Everton. He was out of contract earlier this week.
Well, Atletico Madrid are interested in signing Fulham's Alex Iwobi. Now, there are reports Atletico Madrid have already made a bid of £21 million.
Leeds United have announced defender Max Wober has joined Werder Bremen on a season-long loan.
Well, after spending big in this window and the last one, there may be some high-profile departures at Manchester City.
Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony and Tyrell Malacia have told Manchester United they want to leave the club.
Newcastle United have made an improved offer worth £55 million for Nottingham Forest forward Anthony Elanga.
Callum Hudson-Odoi's representatives have been in Athens discussing a new contract with Nottingham Forest officials. Hudson-Odoi's current deal is up next summer.
Sunderland have signed midfielder Noah Siddiqui from Union St Gilloise for a fee worth £17.5 million. He signed up